Hey guys, Mr. George Remus here with another First Descendant video for you. This time we are going to be exploring the new seasonal weapon Exterminator. If you don't know what this is the seasonal weapon with the battle pass for Season 3. It is specifically designed and made to make our lives in the Axion fields, which is the Season 3 activity, drastically easier. It's each season so far they've been kind of releasing a weapon that's like a direct counter to the new mechanics. And this weapon itself crushes the Vulgus dropships and a lot of the defenses on the stronger enemies that spawn into the game. It also helps take out the Legion of Breach hives and the adapted defense eye that like changes their defense for them. So this weapon is actually like, I almost can't recommend enough that you bring this with you into the planes, no matter which build you're running or who you're playing with. I think a lot of people are underestimating how significant taking those things out helps out the flow of the battle and make things go faster when you're trying to farm all these new things. Alright, we're going to look at the base stats first so you guys kind of get a better understanding of why we're building into what we're building into. This thing has a lot of explosive attack. As a base, it has a lot, just as much fire attack on top of its firearm attack, so it's incredibly important to build into this stat. Its other notable stats, it's got slow fire rate, so we're going to help that out a little bit. Its magazine size is kind of small. Base stat is 6. We're going to build into that. The reload time sucks. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that with this build in particularly. Its crit rate is 10% on a Descendant. That is great. On a firearm, that's not the best. We can still build into this if we want to, and I'll actually show you guys a crit build for this as well, so Descendants that take advantage of that can take advantage of that. Crit damage is okay, kind of the same situation where you can force it if you want, but it's not necessarily the best thing to go for general use. The attribute stat, like trigger effect rate, 33% is actually really great, especially how much damage the burn will do with this. Its weak point isn't great, and its weak point isn't great. So those two things we're just not going to build into. I'm sure you can, but with my testing, it's just not worth it. We're going to talk about the modules. I don't have any multi-hit on here, I don't have any crit damage on here, and I don't have any weak point damage on here. This is going to be utility and just pure fire damage and firearm attack, which is explosive attack on these launchers. So we're going to stick off with the classics, action and reaction, rifling reinforcement. We have charge amplification. This isn't on every weapon build in the game because it gets rid of the critical hit damage, but it also adds 40% more explosive attack. We have recycling genius to help us with our reloads because this thing's reload is atrocious. We have fire rate up to help us get some fire shot, like some extra shells out there. I do run general round charge improvement. We will talk about this in a minute. We'll circle back to it. And then for fire, we're running the classics: fire enhancement, fire priority, fire conductor, and then heat circulation. What these do all together is they bolster our fire attack and increase our damage to burning enemies. Now, if you do want to run this for crit, this is the crit build that I prefer. I kind of want to recommend lethal finish. I just can't seem to get this to work with the Exterminator. I'm assuming it doesn't work on launchers because it's just a firearm. Maybe there's a distinction there. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just doesn't seem to work. But what we run is the classic firearm attack bonuses, the recycling genius, the fire rate, the fire damage. You'll notice I got rid of fire priority. I went with the more crit damage and the more crit rate mods, so better concentration, better insight, concentration priority, and edging shot. I know this takes back our firearm attack, but this does give us more crit rate, and we need all of it we can if we're going to dive into crit. Alright, this is more for your late game players, MR 18+, you get access to the weapon cores. When you core this thing up for general use, you want explosive attack, fire, fire, fire rate, and rounds per magazine. The reason that I like this combo here instead of something like double fire rate or double rounds per mag is this thing's reload is so slow that having to reload all the time, you're just going to be fumbling, you're not going to get to use it as much to its full potential, and ships are going to be dropping in, you're not going to really get the benefit of the gun. If you want to build this for Glay, however, or even Serena, you're going to want 2 fire rates. until we get additional copies of this weapon in the future. This is what I'm going to run just so everybody can use it, including Glay and Serena and everybody else on my roster. Now for the readjustment, yes, I know I don't have perfect rolls yet. I've been going through a lot of weapons lately, burning through the fine adjustment control axes, but what I would recommend, and there's a little leeway here, is very clearly fire attack bonus. I like the attribute status effect on this weapon specifically because it already has a high chance of applying burn. The explosive attack for more damage, and then I put firearm crit hit damage on there just because if I do run this with crit, it's going to be nice having that extra damage. Obviously, you want all 4 of these gold if possible. You can, if you would like, switch this firearm crit damage out for something like magazine size, reload speed, or weapon change speed. And then the same thing with the attribute status trigger rate. These 2 are just my personal preference. These 2 I feel like are a must. You do have a little freedom here to do what you want though. Alright guys, so final thoughts before we finish up here. This gun is great at its job, but it doesn't feel that great outside of that right now. It might get buffed. The devs haven't said it's getting buffed, but they did say they're being cautious with new additions to the game. So just keep that in mind. New players, you guys have access to this thing just from the season pass. I think it's worth investing in to help you farm and handle the Axion planes. Something I want you guys to keep in mind is if you see me doing decent damage to things like the adapted defense eyes that are throughout the map, for whatever reason, whether it's a bug or intentional, some of those have more health in different missions than others. So that is a huge part of its effectiveness. It doesn't necessarily mean you have something put together wrong. So just keep aware of that. With all that being said, that is all I have for this video. If you found anything in here being helpful, please drop a like, hit that subscribe button, help the channel grow. If you have any questions, comments, or you'd like to see me build something else or explain something else to you, feel free to comment down below. I do not mind answering any and all questions, and I appreciate the interactions. With that, I hope everybody has a great time and enjoy yourselves in the Axion plane.